Welcome to Your True Calling. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Dr. Michelle Chappell, a psychologist and a rock star. I've helped thousands of people find their true purpose by discovering their one-of-a-kind superpowers. Each week, I'll share tools and client success stories to help you find gifts you don't know you have so that you can thrive in a career that fills your soul and passion projects that make you feel whole. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be talking to Rudy Zambrano today. He is a fantastic hairstylist and one of the kindest people I have ever met. I really admire Rudy for how he's had to overcome so many obstacles as a gay Latino man who always wanted to become a hairstylist, but the people around him wanted him to become an architect. He persevered and followed his calling anyway, and it's really important that you hear his story because the number one regret of the dying is that they did not live a life true to themselves. Instead, they did what others expected of them. We're also going to talk about how Rudy developed his kindness superpower and how you and I can do it too. Let's get into it. Hi, Rudy. Thanks so much for being on my podcast. I really appreciate it.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today.
I'm really glad you're here. I wanted to talk to you because you're one of the kindest people I've ever met. And you're also one of the best hairstylists too. So those are two big superpowers.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it too because I've been the recipient of both and it's been wonderful. So let me just explain. This podcast helps people find their unique gifts and passions that come naturally to them, but they may not know that they have yet. So I like to interview people who know what theirs are, and you're one of those people. So I would really like to talk about kindness first, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that's how we met.
Yes.
I'd like to hear it from your point of view, because I had this whole little thing I was going to say, but I actually would want to hear what from your point of view first, and then I'll tell you what my point of view was.
Awesome. Yeah. First day when I met you, you seemed very lost. I got off work myself and I saw you and you were just confused. That kind of remind me when I first moved here to Portland, I was sort of kind of lost, and
Yeah.
I wish someone could just kind of like guide me and be like, so I just saw someone that needed help. And it was a busy day that day. It was a Rose Parade, crazy people everywhere. It was super busy. Yeah, so yeah, so it was just nice. I just feel like really happy when I help people. It just fulfills me. It's just like it's something like just like when I do my hairdressing, seeing people's smiles and faces, the reaction it's my cake kind of, and that's how I get satisfaction out of that.
Oh, well, gosh, that makes me want to talk about something I wasn't going to talk about right away, but I will do it. Did you know? Because
Sorry.
I ask you, no, it's okay. This happens all the time. I was just looking it up this morning, but I remembered this. That when you practice kindness, it actually releases serotonin and dopamine in the brain. And those are neurotransmitters that are feel-good neurotransmitters. They promote well-being. And so actually, when you're kind to others, it's kind of like being kind to yourself.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. I agree with you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to tell you from my point of view, it was my first gig in Portland. And because of the parade, I had to park really far away, as you know. And there were all
Yeah.
the tours, and I was lost. And I'm pretty small. I'm 4'11", and my guitar is huge. And I was so lost, and I was walking everywhere, and hundreds of people passed me by and could tell I was struggling. And at one point, a big guy, looked at me and said, "Oh, that's a big guitar for such a tiny lady." And then he walked by laughing, and I put my guitar down and
Oh my God.
I just cried. And at that point, I prayed, "Please, God, help me." And then I heard your voice say, "Do you need help with that?" You you seriously came right at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. And it was I seen you. It was like she needs help. She's lost. And I believe I'm not sure if you were familiar with downtown or not.
No, I
Yeah, so I work in downtown, and I don't know. At that point, I didn't know much about the businesses because I just moved, from LA, and I think it maybe like a year at that point.
okay.
And so then when I saw you, sorry, when I saw you, I I was like, okay, I don't know much of the place that you're looking for, but we're gonna do this together. I'm gonna carry your guitar, and we're gonna find you this place where you're gonna have your concert or something like that you were playing that night. It turned out to be really beautiful because I stayed, I enjoyed your music, I got to know you more, and it was amazing.
It was, well, it was, the place is called the Big Legrowski. Remember that? It's fashioned
Yes,
over the Big Lebowski. So it's got
Lebowski.
White Russians, which I bought for you, I recall, and
Yes,
a statue of the dude and that kind of thing. So it was very, yeah, you stayed and I toasted you and everybody toasted you. It ended up being
yes.
a great evening. It was, I was going to be late. I was not going to make it on time. If it hadn't been for you,
And I feel like, like you were saying, kindness just, can get just different experiences in life. What I've experienced myself, when I'm kind to people, it's an experience for me. It's not just being kind. It's like experiencing something beautiful. So, for example, that night, I had a great experience getting to know you, enjoying your music, and everyone was cheering, and yay, Rudy, and it was like, wow, it's really nice. I think someone can really make you feel even like better, it was amazing. It was amazing. And then I remember you lost your car too.
I know I
You
couldn't
couldn't find it.
remember where I parked because there were so many detours I took, and I'm not good at following directions anyway. I mean, I don't know what that is about. That is not my superpower. I have superpowers, but that's like not one of them. So yeah, so then you also helped me go back to my car and get my other guitar. And the other thing about that night was that I had fractured a rib. So I
Yes,
wasn't even sure I was going to be able to sing because I was having a hard time breathing on top of it.
breathing.
That's why I couldn't believe people just, but I don't know. This is a weird question. You don't have to answer it if it's too weird, but why do you think people just pass somebody by in need? Like, what's the deal with that?
People don't really, they don't take the time to ask others if they're okay. I feel like with this modern life, everyone's just busy on their phone, social media, and I like to just kind of sit back and watch people. You know what I
Mm,
mean? I just like to see that, their expressions and all that stuff. You can see when someone's worried. I feel like society nowadays is just it's gone to a point where it's very introverted, even though you're extroverted with your friends and whatever, but
yeah.
then outside in public, it's hard to approach someone, or it's either, or they're afraid, you know?
Mm,
Um, it's really hard to just approach a stranger nowadays, without feeling like a sense of like, oh my God, am I being attacked? Is there something wrong? You know what I mean? We're just busy in their world, and and yeah, but that's my point of view. But why people don't, can't really, like, hey, do you need help? I know, like, I can see that you're struggling, And there's so many times when I'm driving and I see someone's, with a flat tire, or someone needs help. Hey, do you need help? Hey, because sometimes I'm even afraid to ask people that, to ask them, are you okay? Do you need help? Because it's like, I don't know the reaction that they're gonna, that I'm gonna get from them. Does that make sense?
oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like now this world that we live in, it's very just like caring for oneself, and that's it.
Yeah.
And we stop caring for others at some point, I feel like.
I agree. I agree. That's why, like I said, hundreds of people pass me by. And I don't, I do pray, but usually, honestly, when I'm really in a tough spot. So for me to pray was unusual. And for you to appear within a minute of that was, I thought, interesting.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Whenever you put your mind to something, you can attract that. That at that point you needed help, and you're like, I really need help. Please, someone just help me. And boom, it was like right there. I feel like if we use, I feel like our minds are so powerful.
Yeah.
And if we use our minds just for that, I feel like we can achieve a lot of good things.
Yes, that's very,
Yeah.
very true. I mean, I grew up to really have to take care of myself, so I don't ask for help. But I do remember when that big guy passed me by and kind of laughed at me. I do remember thinking, "Why didn't you offer to help?" And that's when I thought, "Maybe I need help." You know? It hadn't even occurred to me because I thought I could tough it out. But yeah, it was like an hour of being lost. And the other thing I wanted to ask you is, do you remember always being kind, or did something happen to make you kinder, or what's your story with that?
It's the way I was raised, the values that my mother gave me, always, help people, always, be there for others, don't expect anything back in return. Those are the values that I was raised with, and also, growing up, it was a little struggle. So then my mom would always say, "Hey, if you have a piece of bread and there's two, three people, break it up in three, four pieces and give someone a piece." That was very meaningful because that helped me a lot. And that helped me a lot. And that kind of like that's my piece of bread that I always kind of like to spread to strangers. I like to go around and just like, can I help you with something, at the store, Target, Walmart, when I see a lot of like, especially ladies that like, I'm like, okay, that looks a little heavy. Can I help you with that? Sometimes they're like, yes, please, thank you so much. Other people is like, no, thank you, or get away from me. I would just wanted to express or extend some help. But
Yeah.
I feel like my kindness started when I was young.
Yeah. Your mother instilled very good values in you.
She sure did. She was very strict. She's a mother of 12, but that's another whole story.
Okay. Yeah, you don't have to get into that if you don't want.
So then she was very strict. She was a single mom.
Mhm.
My dad passed away when I was 3. So then she had to like, okay, guys, this is what we're gonna do, okay? And she was very, like there was only one way for her at that point. I can understand, being a single mother with 12 kids, it's a lot.
Wow.
Um, so for me, it was always like, okay, help your brother, your siblings, help everyone else, and we're a team and we're gonna do this together. And if someone else out there, needs help, let's extend our hands to those people. So that's how
I'm
I was
sorry that
raised.
I'm sorry you had those struggles. I really am, but it sounds like you were able to turn lemons into lemonade.
Exactly. That's what you do. That's what you do. Some things in life you just can't control, and then you just have to make something better out of that. When I'm in such tough spots or whatever, I always like to think to myself, this is gonna pass, and it's gonna get better. It's not gonna last forever. I just keep repeating that to myself because mentally that helps me. Um, might change my mindset. So yeah.
I don't know if you have any advice, but if you do, is there anything that you could say to listeners about how they could build their own kindness muscles? Because I think other people have flabbier kindness muscles than you.
Yeah. So I just feel like it's like fitness in a way. Sometimes it's like you have to train yourself. You have to like work out that your mind. For me, that's what I usually kind of it works. Every morning I wake up, I go to the gym and I meditate a little bit. At least like 3 5 minutes. Sometimes I have plenty of time on days off where I meditate for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I embraced everything that happened to me yesterday, the day before. I kind of like look back and say, okay, you know what? It was a great day. Even though it was a hard day at work, it was good. I'm thankful for like being, having a job, having a salary, having a house. So it starts with being me, and being good to myself. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it to someone else. Always, I always like to compliment people outside on the street. I like your hair. I like your shoes. I like your style. Because who doesn't want to hear good compliments on the street, right? Even you can always see someone and compliment something and say something good about a person instead of something negative about that person.
I agree. I actually do that too. I do that too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I really like that advice. I was just reading this morning that one of the ways to be kind or to yourself is to say kind things to yourself. And a second way is to practice gratitude. And you just said both of those things.
I think it starts with oneself, and then you can just spread that along, to other people.
Okay, dear listeners, I wanted to pause here to check in with you. Rudy is such a gem, and he's pretty darn wise too. The Dalai Lama said that in order to develop compassion, to practice with yourself first and then begin to embrace others. Rudy said that. Kindness is a spirit of helpfulness, being generous and considerate without expecting anything in return. Rudy said that. Practicing kindness has been shown to increase self esteem, empathy, and compassion. Also decreases blood pressure and the stress hormone cortisol. People who are kind are healthier and live longer and feel more connected to others. So there's a big payoff in being kind. I think of kindness and compassion and gratitude as universal superpowers that almost all people can develop with intention and practice. There are some exceptions, though. The dark triad personality, narcissistic, Machiavellian, and psychopathic people lack empathy and tend to take advantage of others by lying, cheating, stealing, and bullying to get what they want. Luckily, most people aren't like this. The rest of us can develop kindness and compassion. That's why I call it a universal superpower. And I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to read more about the dark triad. To develop a kindness practice, just ask yourself, how can I be kind today? To yourself and to others. You know, I wrote a song called A Little Act of Kindness for the Dalai Lama that I was told was hand delivered to him for his birthday some years ago. And in it, I make some suggestions for how we can be kinder. So I'm just going to share a little snippet here rather than tell you because it's more fun.
With an act of kindness, let it flow right out of you. A little act of kindness, like when the cashier's having a bad day, try sending a little smile her way. Leave the waiter a bigger tip. Give your children an extra hug, no reason in particular, just because. And call up a long lost friend and tell them how grateful you've always been for them.
Okay, I hope that gave you some ideas. One last thing to share with you. Again, something that Rudy said. One of the reasons people aren't kind is because we live in such a fast-paced world. Let me explain. John Darley at Princeton did an experiment back in 1973 about the Good Samaritan. He had people complete personality questions and then walk from one building to another to give a talk about the Good Samaritan. And on the way, they encountered a man slumped in an alleyway, right in the doorway, who moaned and coughed twice as they walked by. This was all a setup. And the results showed that when people weren't in a hurry, 63% helped, but when they were very hurried, only 10% helped. Some literally stepped over the victim on their way to the next building. We are even more in a rush today than we were back in the 70s. So the conclusion that I'm drawing from this, and that Rudy was pointing to also, is just slow down and take in what's happening around you. That will allow you to become a kinder person. Next, we're going to talk about individual superpowers, the gifts and passions that make us different from everyone else and lead us to our purpose. Let's go. Let's talk about hairstyling now. I'm very curious.
Yes.
This is another one of your superpowers. So, how did you know you were good at it? when were you drawn to it? That you had a talent for it?
So, like I said before, I come from a big family,
Yeah.
Latino, and it's very hard, to culture-wise for a Latino man to be a hairstylist
Is it?
because it is, it is, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, because coming out to my heart, to my family, it was already tough enough.
Oh,
And then being a hairstylist on top of that, it was even worse.
Does
oh,
that make sense? Just
yeah.
because,
So, but I discovered my passion when I was very young. I remember my sisters would fall asleep and I would braid their hair.
You braid their hair
so then,
for sleep?
While they were sleeping, I would braid their hair. I would play around with their hair, and it was just something that I don't know. It was like I wanted to be grabbing, holding hair all the time. Like it was like there's so many things you can do with hair, styling, and it just became my passion. As I grew up, I got older. I remember, going to school, and I knew like I knew I wanted to do hair, and I had a scholarship to go into architecture, which I declined it because I was not a big fan of school, and I really wanted to do hair. And so at that point, my family was really mad at me because they're like, "Hey, dude, you have like a ticket, to go do go to school, whatever, and you're choosing styling for this."
Yeah.
And so then I did. At that point, I had to leave my house. I need to be independent. I need to do what I want to do, and so I did. My first best friend guided me. He was my guide,
Mm-hmm.
and so like he was my mentor,
Mm-hmm.
and he showed me how to wash, rinse hair, blow dry, apply color, and then at some point he's like, "Okay, you ready? You need to go to school." So then he was my motivation. I went to Paul Mitchell. I enrolled. I remember the first day when I went to school. It was like the happiest day of my life because I was like, this is what I wanted to do. This is really what I wanted to do. It was very expensive, and I was only like 18, I believe,
Mm.
and there was no way I could afford it. Yeah, it was a little tough, but luckily, my director from school, my teachers, they were really great with me. They allowed me to just go to school, pay whatever as I could pay monthly, and I finally graduated, and I was able to get my license. And then I went back to my best friend's salon, and he said, "I am not gonna fire you." And I said, "Whoa, why is that? You were my mentor. And he said that you need to go further than this. You need to push your limits. You need to go. There's no more that I can teach you here." So that's when when I started, going to LA, and I started working, and I was an assistant for a really good hairstylist. His name is Paul Angus Mitchell, which is the son of Paul Mitchell.
Okay.
And so that's how I started expanding my interest and passion for hairstyling, because then I started realizing that there was so much in this world, in the beauty industry. And I started specializing in color and extensions and haircutting. It was just amazing.
Yeah, I love the fact that you followed your heart rather than capitulating to others' expectations of you. That's why a lot of people don't answer their calling. That's
exactly.
that's it. Their parents don't approve or their friends aren't into it or yeah.
Especially nowadays, with the economy and everything, there's so much of like expectations, especially from your family, society, But I was like, you know what? I'm the one who's gonna wake up, and I'm the one who's gonna work every single day, and I need to make the right choice. I can say that I've been building my own path. I didn't let anyone of my family kind of like dictate that for me. They're over it now. They're like, okay, your hairstyle is good. You know what I mean? So awesome. So whenever I go back home, they're like, hey, can you do this hair or whatever? I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
That's great for listeners to hear that if they tough it out, sometimes people do come around that, I wanted to share just something about myself. I was a psychology professor and discovered that I could sing and play guitar and write songs while I was getting my PhD. And at one point, I knew I had to leave academics to try to go for it. And I was not supported for that at all, not supported. But I did it anyway. My mother called me crazy And now she brags about me. So it can turn around. It's not guaranteed to turn around, but it can turn around. How old were you when you were braiding, like when you were first?
Showing interest in hair. I believe I want to say maybe I was like 5. I was like 5 or 6, I was just like I would see my mom. I would just watch her how she would braid my sister's hair. And I was like, I want to do that. And so then I would always remember, I would always look at the magazines and look at their hairstyles and look at their dresses and look at, fashion. And I was like, oh, I want to do that myself. I want to be able to create that hairdo or I want to create that collar.
Oh, that's cool. And that's a little bit similar to, I think songwriters will listen to a song and say, oh, I want to write something like that. Famous painters copy other painters. I think that's actually one of the little signals that your superpower is calling to you. You see other
Yeah.
people doing it and you want to do it your way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah. And the whole architect thing, where did that come from?
I was recruited from this academy. And so because I had good grades in middle school, it was based on architecture, engineering, and construction.
Hmm.
So it was like a smaller school program, but it was in a public school. And the kids graduated high school, college, not knowing where to go. And he felt like kids needed more direction. Where we were giving classes in computer and engineering and architecture, and we built, a small scale house so we can see if that's what we want to do. What was architecture about? But then the first generation was gonna come out with a scholarship. But I told them, you know what, I'm sorry, but I'd much rather someone else like enjoy this scholarship.
Yeah. How did you know? Like, how did it feel? How did you know, no, that's not for me?
A lot of research and also doing internships. It was a lot of pressure when I was in high school. There was so many expectations and deadlines that we need to meet. I just know that it was just gonna be a lot more, of like school and I am a person that I feel I consider myself artistic and hands on. And for me, I feel like I'm not so good at books, and I feel like architecture it was gonna take a long time. And I just feel like, I mean, I admire architecture, I admire, architects, that build great things. But I feel like I found myself building different, things with care.
Yes.
And the way I can kind of connect it now, I mean, nowadays I feel use a lot of geometry when doing hair cutting. And I also use a lot of chemistry when
Ah,
doing, color. So geometry, it still kind of plays a big, huge part of my life. I feel like that's my connection right there.
yeah. Oh, that's very cool. So some of it kind of transferred over to your hairstyling. I have heard that story from others too. Like if you have a
Yeah.
job or you're following a path that doesn't quite fit, parts of it might fit. So don't like
Exactly.
jettison the whole thing.
Just feel that kind of keeps my passion going on. My background studying architecture and geometry, and I can use that now to me more to feel like have that connection with my career now.
I think it's part of why you're good. You did cuts on me that were fascinating that nobody's ever done. So
Thank you,
yeah, yeah. So I
Michelle.
can see how you've merged these different parts to kind of make a multifaceted superpower.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I hope Rudy's interview inspired you as much as it did me. I mean, just put yourself in his shoes. Here he is coming from a family that is struggling financially, and he gets a scholarship to study something he doesn't want to do. Talk about pressure. Talk about others' expectations to become someone you're not. Did you know that that's the number one reason why people don't follow their calling? But at the same time, Rudy already knew he had a passion for hairstyling since he was 5 years old. So he followed his heart anyway, despite the fact that his family did not approve. His belief that things will pass, that he can get through difficult situations, helped him persevere. Now, hairstyling is Rudy's individual superpower. No one can do it like him. He was born with that gift, and he made it his own by combining it with his love for geometry and understanding the chemistry behind mixing colors. So, what is your individual superpower? What gift or passion or way of being is unique? What caught your interest early in life? Are you a natural born writer, photographer, singer, painter, mathematician, leader? If you got an answer, but you're saying to yourself, yeah, everyone else can do it too. For example, you think you might be a writer, but you quickly counter that by saying to yourself, well, everyone can write. I can tell you with certainty that not everyone can write. And those who do write do it in different styles, in different genres, on different topics. That's the beauty of knowing what your individual superpowers are, and they lead you to your purpose. So pursue your passions with gusto and don't worry what everyone else thinks. Okay? Believe me, it will work out in your best interest. And you remember early on, we talked about universal superpowers like kindness and gratitude that almost all of us can develop with practice. That story about Rudy helping me with my guitar happened over 4 years ago, before the pandemic. Since then, I've become a practicing Buddhist, and I've noticed something really interesting. Since I've learned to be kinder to myself, people are kinder to me. According to Mingyur Rinpoche, compassion is reciprocal. If you treat others compassionately, they listen to you more closely. They develop a sense of trust and respect. People who might once have been adversaries begin to treat you with more respect and consideration. Conflicts resolve more easily. You find yourself advancing more quickly in your career. The more open-hearted you become toward others, the more open-hearted they become towards you. So I hope that this podcast has given you a little courage to follow your own individual superpowers, no matter what others may say about it, and also to practice kindness, because it will create a kinder world for yourself and for others. Thank you so much, Rudy, for sharing your wisdom with us today.
Thank you for listening to Your True Calling. Please leave a review and share it with your friends. From my website, yourtruecalling.org, you can follow me on social media, learn more about my music and my coaching, contact me to find your superpowers live on the air, and help me produce future episodes by funding me on Patreon.